update.
Well, good evening, good evening. Glad to see everyone here. All right, this is our special call meeting for Wednesday, August 15th, 6 p.m. here in Stonecrest City Hall. Glad to see all the lovely faces that are here. Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Adama.
Present.
Councilmember George Turner.
Here.
Councilmember Rob Turner.
Here.
Councilmember Jimmy Clanton.
Present.
Councilmember Jasmine Cobble. Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. Folks, this is a special call meeting, unlike a regular meeting. Usually would have public comments and some other things that are available, but for a special call meeting, that's not set up for us at this juncture in time. So, if you would please, I would like to ask, in a special courtesy, if you just have to have a conversation, would you take it to the back? You just have to talk. If you just compel yourself that you just cannot hold it in, would you please, I'm asking pretty please, go to the back, because what you're doing is two things when you don't. This has been our experience. You are disturbing others that are around you. That's the first thing. And two, you're disturbing us. Very difficult to conduct a meeting when I can hear what you're saying from up here. That would not be nice. So if you could please, just as one time, hold it in, or I ask you to move to the rear of the place so that you can have a conversation. The reason that we're here today is that we have several items that mayor and council have been contemplating, mulling over, having conversations with, negotiating, that did not move in the direction that some of us, or most of us, wanted to with regards to the General Assembly. Thank you for the news being here with regards to On Common Ground. Is there any other news outlets here? Okay, seeing none, I wish they were here so that they can actually get the story right this time, and instead of printing incorrect stories, and then we have to fix it. So thank you On Common Ground for being here to cover us. So what you're going to see today, folks, is the council cover several issues that you have with regards to that's being passed out or that you can receive on paper in the back. And these issues all affect us all here in Stonecrest. So what this is an opportunity for council in front of constituents to have a conversation about it, where we like to go with the individual issues or collective issues, and then, and Madam Clerk, correct me if I get off base, to have hearings within 60 days. Did I say that correct?
I have to advertise at least 3 times within 60 days, and once it's advertised, then it comes back to council.
All right, say that one more time.
I will advertise 3 times within 60 days. Then it'll come back to council.
Council, within each time it comes back twice.
Yes.
There will be a hearing, a public hearing, and for any matter to go forward under home rule, they have to be voted on at each meeting after the public hearing.
Exactly. So in short, constituents, is that you will have ample time to have your say. You'll have plenty of opportunity to have your say. And you'll get an opportunity to express what you like, don't like, dislike, whatever that is. But respectfully, tonight is for listening. Tonight is for getting the information so you'll know where to go, so that you can have your comments and your minds made up, whatever direction you decide to go in on the items that you see here. So with that, Mr. City Attorney, we'll start with you, and then we'll also have Mr. Thibodeau participate also.
Mayor and Council, good evening.
Good evening.
Hope I find you all well. Compared to South Georgia, 96 degrees is just like being in cold. So things are
city charter, which are available for amendment by council by home rule. There are certain things that have to be, that you cannot by home rule change, such as eligibility of this council, member of this council, whether the council member votes or not, and those types of things. But the items that are for you tonight are things that can be amended by home rule. And what home rule says is that for municipalities, while the General Assembly has all the marbles, and they can create the city, which is what they did with the city of Stonecrest. And they can take all those marbles back if they want to. This is unlike counties, but like cities. They're under the, basically the jurisdiction of the General Assembly. However, the General Assembly does delegate certain things that can be done, and this is where home rule comes in, which the General Assembly says that can be done. So what's before you are 5 proposals, and as Ms. James indicated to you, and each of these ordinances, which are before you, have to be, the notice of these have to be advertised in the newspaper of general circulation in the city of Stonecrest for 3 consecutive times. And after that time, there would be 2 meetings, 2 readings of the ordinance, which would take place after the public hearings with respect to each one. Different than the 2-read ordinance that we have here is that when we do a first read under our procedures, you don't vote. But the first read under these procedures, you do vote. So at any one time, in other words, you have to pass the thing twice in order for it to become law by legislation for that. Now, what these ordinances do is say to Ms. James, you need to publish the notices that are required, and really that's why we're here tonight, to authorize her to proceed in publishing the resolutions that would be necessary in order to give the notice, the public notice that's required under law. That's there. All right, so do y'all have any questions about that procedure before I start going through each of these? Okay, thank you. All right. The first relates to an ordinance to amend the charter of the city of Stonecrest, Georgia, for the purpose of amending the titles of persons serving as any municipal court judge pursuant to Article 4 of the city charter. Under the city charter today, a judge is called a judge unless the judge is the chief judge, is the head judge, but then you have a judge pro tempore, which serves at the behest of the judge, and but also can hear the cases and also adjudicate the cases. There was some issue that the judges brought to our attention relating to their ability to also be eligible for other judgeships, particularly as it related to the judge pro temp. Somehow there was some stigma, I guess, associated with that, which I don't understand why, but this really is a request from the judge. So what all of these amendments do is that it takes away the name of the judge pro tempore. It requires now that a chief judge be appointed, subject to the confirmation of the council, which is in a similar way that it's done in this situation here. And if there's more than one judge, then that judge is called judge. That's a judge. And that judge, in the event of the illness, disability, or whatever, the chief judge then takes over the responsibilities of the chief judge, which is really running the docket, making sure that things are getting cleared and getting done and getting placed out. So that one is before you tonight. With regard to that, you can take them one at a time. Is there? What I would entertain is a motion motion, Mr. Mayor, that directing Ms. James to publish the requisite notice with regard to this change as provided by law. Not voting on the ordinance, but voting on the ability to publish it.
Ability to publish it. Okay, and council, are there any questions with regards to this before I ask for a motion? All right, and seeing none, I will accept a motion for giving the clerk to advertise with regards to this particular change so that we can move forward.
Mr. Mayor, a motion to give the clerk the authority to advertise this particular proposed ordinance regarding the judgeship.
All right, been properly moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, properly moved and second. Any further poll, any discussion?
Again, Mr. Knight, I'm sorry.
Thank you. No, and I said seriously, thank you. He's a talented lawyer.
He is that.
And he and I have been friends probably for too long.
Again, Mr. Kerr, just to be certain and to be absolutely clear, this motion is not a motion to pass an ordinance at this particular time. This is only a motion to start the process to have the public hearings and the public input that is required before we move forward with home rule, with the passing of a home rule ordinance. Is that correct?
The passage or rejection, yes, sir.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, just one question, please.
Yes.
Madam Clerk, can you please roll call the votes this evening versus the yea and the nay?
I'm sorry, what was the question? I missed it, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I'm asking the clerk to please roll call the votes on the issues tonight. Reason being is that the video was very vague for the last meeting and you couldn't really confirm who was voting for what. And I think it's important for us to know who's voting on issues at every meeting. So if she can roll call the vote so that we know for sure who's voting yes or no.
That's acceptable under the rules, if somebody else will second that.
I'll second that.
It says that she can ask for it.
Okay, that's a roll.
Any person can ask for a roll call.
Okay, so roll call, all right.
Yeah, without a second, I thought,
It says in your charter, anybody can ask for a roll call.
we're on the same page.
And I was asking for it on all, well, we only have 5 items, right? So on all 5 items.
Right. As well as we know that this is also recorded on the internet on our website with who voted for what. Is that correct still?
It's
In
not.
the minutes?
When it says unanimously, that means everybody voted for it.
Okay.
When it says, when you vote separately, it says who voted in favor and who voted against.
And my question is that on our website at this time?
It's in the minutes,
In the minutes, it's on the website?
yes.
Okay.
All right. Excellent.
Take the roll.
Are you finished?
Oh, absolutely.
Councilmember Clanton? This is for yes or no.
Yes.
Councilmember George Turner?
Yay.
Councilmember Diana Doma?
Yes.
Councilmember Rob Turner?
Yes.
Councilmember Jasmine Cabo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right.
All right, the next proposal before you is an ordinance to amend the charter of the city of Stonecrest, Georgia, for the purpose of amending the millage rate cap imposed by section 1.03B 37A of Article 1 of the city charter. I read the news this morning in the AJC and talked about a tax increase that was taking place, and it recited this particular item. So I don't know, to me it was clear enough not to be confusing, but it must have been confusing to somebody. But what this says is this, is that as you proceed, and you decide that you wish to take over services that currently the county is providing the residents. Say, take police as an example. Take stormwater drainage as an example. Take the maintenance of all the roads as an example. Then once you do that, which you have the right to do under the various intergovernmental agreements that either have been passed or are in process, then the citizens will, of the county taxes, the citizens of Stonecrest will get a reduction in their property taxes for what they had been charged in order to provide those services. So for example, if you decided to take over stormwater drainage and the county was collecting 1 mil from everybody in the city to do that, then they would not be able to charge that anymore. So that would go down. What you would have is the opportunity, if you so chose, which you would have to go through the process of the millage rate and everything else. Since you're at 0 today, you can only go up, can't go down any farther. Then you are able to raise that cap of 3.35% by the amount that the county tax was reduced by that millage. Is that?
So let me give an example so that we're all on the same
The
page.
example would be, we write the county and we say, the county, we're taking over the stormwater drainage, we're going to take these fees that you've been collecting and show up on all your property tax bills. Each of the residents have them, so then those fees stop as far as being charged by the county. Then what it says is that you can charge the same amount without affecting your cap at 3.35%.
So it's not an increase in the millage rate. Not one iota. It is taking the actual millage rate that they have for that service for the county, moving it over to us.
If you want to use it.
Correct. We
You
could
don't
go,
have- you don't have
we could
to
go
use it.
lower than that.
You don't have to use it, if you want to use it.
Okay.
What's found in some of the other cities is by taking over these services, actually, there ended up being a reduction in the overall taxes that were being paid, particularly the area of police, which enables you to get more service for the same dollar.
Okay. Council?
Yes, ma'am.
Attorney Curry, so are we trying to become a full-service city? Because currently we only offer 3 services: planning and zoning, code enforcement, parks and recreation. So if we remove the cap, what services are we seeking to add? I know you mentioned police services as a possibility, or stormwater, whatever. So the first Stonecrest study was unable to sustain other services. However,
Can I answer the first question? Did you ask me a question?
yeah,
Okay.
yes,
That would be up to the council's determination and legislation to determine whether or not you wanted to accept those services or not, and whether or not they felt in their opinion that they could afford to do those services.
okay. So if we remove the cap, as I said, we would remove the cap, which opens it up for us to offer additional services. So the first Stonecrest study was unable to substantiate other services. However, the latter study, which removed public safety, was sustainable. I'm not saying that I'm against public safety, so let's make that real clear. But so in the second study, the cap was removed. So I believe, in my opinion, that we need a more comprehensive conversation regarding this, and perhaps a study analysis to confirm that this is the way we need to go. We may be opening up a blank piggy bank for any type of project, good or bad. Also, the original cap for Brookhaven and Dunwoody, for those 2 cities, based on what I read today, is still set at the limit in their original charter, which is 2.74 meal, which is much less than Stonecrest even today, and they've had it there for years. So Tucker also, who incorporated just a few years ago, have not changed their cap, and I believe it may be at 1.5 mil. So we're talking about changing a cap without first studying the impact of the vote that we're gonna make today. I don't know of anything that we've discussed that we're bringing on board in the near future, although I'm supportive of additional services. So I think we're in a territory that requires much, much more research. And a study needs to be done to determine if this is the way we want to go, if we want to open that cap up so early with us being such a new city. And my other question is, has someone calculated if we can truly sustain it financially? And without this information, I'm very uncomfortable with pushing this cap without knowing exactly what direction the city want to move in. We don't have any sound research, we don't have any data, and I'm data driven. So no other city, Brookhaven, Dunwoody, I couldn't find one. And I open it up to the other council members if they know of one, but no other city have removed that cap so early in their becoming a new city. So I have some serious concerns about it. And I would like for the council to consider a more comprehensive conversation before we take that cap off.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I'm going to answer the question first. Before you all start the clap, please. Let everybody answer the question. Everybody answer the question. Thank you. All right, there's a couple of three things I heard that we need some clarity on. One, excuse me. Thank you. One, Councilwoman Odoma, you mentioned about the two studies. And since I see several people that are sitting in the audience, one being Mr. Thibodeau, who was there from the beginning of both studies, let me give you some clarity on that. The reason the first study failed, is because of the size of Stonecrest originally, which was 82,000 instead of the 53,000 that passed. So it was more than just what was happening with regards to public safety or adding on police services at that time. It was the size of the city versus the services that were delivered. Size of the city, 82,000 versus the services that were delivered. Then, in the second study, it was the size of the city, which was 53,000 versus the services that were delivered, which is what we have today. That's how the study ended up passing. That's how the study in the original ended up failing. So that was not an apple to apples comparison. And what I mean by that, and Mr. Knight was there also, is that 82,000 people couldn't get service with the amount of revenue that was coming in, but 53,000 people could get service with regards to the amount of revenue that was coming in. So that's the first thing. Second thing, we give some references to Brookhaven and some other folks, and I can appreciate that, that's fine. One is that I asked this survey with the citizens before, the next services that are up, what would you like to have? Would it be Parks and Rec, or would it be public safety, meaning police? Particularly since we can have a fantastic partnership with the county. Unanimously, constituents said police would be the next services that will be up. Third, with regards to some of the comparisons that we make, I want everybody to keep this in mind, council and constituents. We have a $6.4 and change million budget before SPLOS. Then we reach over 14. Brookhaven has an excess of a $60 million budget. And they are 5,000 constituents smaller than we are. We're doing 10 times the work with 10 times less of the revenue, which we're doing a very good job in being able to manage. So the next piece to come up is, let's talk about public safety a second, and then I'll relinquish the mic to the other council persons. Public safety is the next piece, quote unquote, that's on deck. So, if you look at the mill rate with regards to what the CAB is charging for public safety on your tax bill, it's in that 5 to 6 millage rate. If we take on public safety, you take that same mill rate, bring it over to Stonecrest, and then at that point we can decide, does it cost that same to deliver those services, or is it less, or is it more? So to be able to do that, clearly 5 and change for a mill rate is higher than what? The 3.35 we have today. So we just can't take that over with regards to, possibly having public safety without exceeding the mill rate that we have today, the cap on it, which is 3.35. And today, it's zero. We have zero millage rate. Okay, Council.
May I make one clarification?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor. I was reviewing the millage issues today, and I had asked Ms. James to send me what information she's had concerning what the county had just recently passed.
Yes, sir.
And this is an article by, I think I've heard this name before, with the AJC, this young lady's name, Tia Mitchell. Okay. Yeah, here it is, Tia Mitchell. She wrote this article, reported on what was done, and says, the DeKalb Board of Commissioners approved the 2018 millage rates. Property owners in unincorporated DeKalb, Stonecrest, Tucker will pay the same county millages this last year. Your taxes aren't going up. But in 11 cities, the rate's higher. Now, I think indicated that under the charter, the millage cap for Brookhaven was like 2.7. Actually, the millage rate for 2018 is 13.784. I don't know if you got your information correct or not.
Well, I'm not sure if her information is correct, but my concern is we haven't had discussions.
Well, no, I just want to ask the
Well, I'm
question.
just saying, I want to clarify what my concern
clarifying this
is.
for you, ma'am. And I understand completely what
Well,
you're
I'm
saying.
not sure if that's correct. Right now, I'm not.
Well, are you sure your number's correct?
Well, what I'm.
Excuse me, folks. Excuse me.
All right, Mr. Mayor, I believe I have the floor.
I would like to finish my.
Excuse me.
Oh, yes.
Excuse me. All right, Mr. City Attorney, you still have the floor.
I'm through. Go ahead. I just want to make sure that there seems to be some
Well, I'm
indication
not,
that there may be some conflict in the data.
there is some conflict and I'm not
Oh,
sure.
Councilwoman,
Yes, sir.
let the other council have their say.
I would like to finish my.
Excuse me, let the
Mr.
other.
Mayor, it's disrespectful.
It's not disrespectful.
That's right. You asked.
Excuse me.
What the number was correct. And she
Excuse
was
me.
answering.
Excuse me, we have 6 council people, 5 and a mayor. I'm gonna recognize Councilwoman O'Donnell, but she finished her statement, we recognize the city attorney, and now we're gonna recognize the other council people so they can have their say.
I was not finished.
She was not finished.
I was not finished.
Ladies and gentlemen.
It is abusive.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Stop me.
Excuse me. Ladies and gentlemen.
Did it again.
Ladies and gentlemen.
We're not gonna have this.
Ladies and gentlemen. Oh, you're right, we're not. Ladies and gentlemen, allow us to conduct the business. That's all I'm asking. Allow us to conduct the business. Councilwoman,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
this round, please. Finish what this is so the other council folks
Thank you.
can have their statement.
In response to Attorney Curry, until I know exactly where those numbers came from, I'm disputing if those numbers are correct. But regardless of what the millage rates are, that wasn't my biggest concern. My biggest concern is that this council have not had any comprehensive, collective, collaborative discussions on what other services we plan to offer, and we're removing that cap without knowing what road or what path we plan to go down. And I'd like, Madam Clerk, I would like for those comments to be part of the official record.
Councilwoman, are you done?
I'm done. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
May I, Mr. Mayor? All right. So first of all, I would like to say this. Going forward, I think this council should look at making certain that citizens have an opportunity to speak at every single council meeting. Going forward, I think that's what we should do. That would include any official council meeting. Now, having said that, I somewhat agree with what Councilwoman Adoma say, in that we absolutely do need to look at every single item on this list comprehensively, get as much information as we can, and employ the public to walk with us down this trail. And in case you all don't get it, that is exactly what we're trying to move to do. We're asking for not to make a decision tonight. There would not be one vote on a yay or nay on any of these issues on this list tonight. Nothing would happen tonight other than giving you all the right to participate in this process, which you all deserve. And I think that you deserve a right on every single one of these issues to make your voices known, your opinions heard, and to get the same kind of information that is provided to council, and get it in a timely fashion. So in that way, I do agree, and if you would allow us to go through with this process to make certain that you all are included and not excluded by council members that are, if Jimmy Clanton say, you know what, I think what Councilwoman Jones said is wrong, so I get a couple other council members to vote with me and then she's off, that's not right. We gotta be able to give you guys, extend to y'all the same courtesy that you represented us to extend in general. So that is my comment for tonight. In regards to this, I just need you all to understand that what we are trying to do is exactly what Councilwoman Donovan mentioned, is that let's give it some more time, let's give it some more thought by moving this process along. This will give us 60 days or whatever it is so it doesn't go on indefinitely, which is worse than going on too quick. So moving too quick and putting it out there indefinite is the same thing, and we shouldn't do that. I think the 60 days that we're asking for is more than enough. It'll give you guys an opportunity to be involved with us. Make certain, that's why I made the comment about the website earlier. This entire process should be on our website. You all should be able to get the same information we get at the same time we get it, as much as possible. Thank you.
All right, Council, any further comments?
Basically,
Yes, sir.
this is support. And that is that this is not the first time we've heard about this. This has been discussed before. It's been discussed from this position as well. And from the way it is explained, the way it is written, this does not change your millage rate that you would have to pay. You're shifting it from from the county to the city. So what you pay on your tax bill will not change at all in the event that it is employed. But this gives the city the authority to use it in that fashion. And I concur with my colleague, Councilman Clanton, and that is that this puts the issue into play, and you'll have plenty of time to discuss it over the next 60 days.
I think it's very important that we as council people understand what we're voting on or legislating, but even more so that the people in the city understand that. So I do agree that we should have more time with this and move forward, that they can ask questions and get the concerns that they need answered, and then we can move forward and make some quality decisions on their behalf.
Thank you.
Council, anyone else? All right, so this process allows that. And speaking concurrent of the sentiments that have been made here, that's why we're here, so that we can put these items on the calendar for public comments and concerns, and make sure that you have your due diligence and your just say. That's why we're here. That's why we are here, as a matter of fact. But as Councilman Clanton said, we have to get to a point so that you can have a conversation, so that you can have public input. And that's why we'll put these items up. So having said that, Mr. City Attorney, would you like to have a recap of that particular item?
Recap which way, Mr. Mayor?
On item number
Basically,
2.
what this is would involve a resolution in order to commence the publication of the notice of the effect that this council is considering an amendment to the charter via home rule, which in effect would say that to the extent that there are any services assumed by the city of Stonecrest based upon the legislation of this council, then the cap that's currently in place may be increased by the amount of whatever taxes are now have been rolled back or will not be paid by the citizens in the future for that service.
Then to make the order claim, I'll take a motion to move forward with number 2.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make the motion that we move forward with the consideration of the Second Amendment as written and as stated here today.
And properly moved. Do I have a second?
I second it.
All right, properly moved and second. Madam Clerk, you had your... All right.
You'll call the roll when you're ready.
Councilmember Carver?
Yes.
Councilmember Dunn?
No.
Councilmember Rob Turner?
Yes.
Councilmember George Turner?
Yes.
Councilmember Clanton?
Yes?
Mayor?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Number 3.
Okay, number 3 is an ordinance to amend section 2.07 of Article 2 of the Charter of the City of Stonecrest, Georgia, for the purpose of amending the annual salary amount of the mayor and to provide...
Excuse me? Excuse me. Thank you, sir.
To provide for a monthly allowance expenses actually and necessarily incurred by the mayor and council members in carrying out their duties as elected officials of the city in lieu of an annual reimbursement limitation. To provide for the commencement date of the salary increase of the mayor and expense allowance increase for each council member to the date after the taking of office of those elected.
You can continue, sir.
To the date after the taking of office of those elected at the next municipal election of the city of Stonecrest on November 5, 2019. What these amendments would do is, the proposal would be to increase the mayor's salary from $20,000 to $75,000 annually. And to increase the amount of allowances to the council members to $5,000 and the allowance to the mayor of $8,000.
All right, Mr. City Attorney, I have a question for you, then we're going to bring Mr. Thibodeau. I asked that these two things be handled separately. One with regards to the mayor's compensation, the office of the mayor, no matter who that is, and the budgetary items we just talked about. Can we separate those two with regards to what we're doing?
Well, as far as what you're doing tonight, and the way that it's presented, it's all in one ordinance. However, it does put you in a position that if there are questions based upon the dais, that perhaps these amounts are not right or should be different, then you could have those open discussions. And certainly, as far as the form of the resolution again, as to what the people are going to be able to come and comment upon, and the constituents can come up here and line up and just say, Mayor, that's too much money, or whatever it may be.
Mr. Mayor? I'm sorry, was the last one up?
I said, may I continue?
You may, sir.
And the same thing with the allowances as it relates to the expenses. So what I would suggest is this. Let's deal with the allowances because there's still some issue regarding those. And ask Mr. Thibodeau to come forward and explain, I guess, the beneficial nature both to the accounting with respect to the allowances and the other items that were discussed, particularly as it related to the expense reimbursement you're currently receiving for committing an automobile to the city of $650 a month, so that there's no issue as to what that is. Okay? Joel?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, constituents. I'm Joel Thibodeau. I'm the principal partner of Affirmed Policy Consulting, acting as the internal auditor for the city of Stonecrest. We're moving forward or with the proposal that the expense allowance be treated as compensation. Currently, the expense allowance that is in the charter is being treated as reimbursable. It is the practice of other cities, including Brookhaven, Fairburn, College Park, etc., that these are paid out as compensation and taxed. The charter recognizes that purchases of goods and services will be made from your personal funds for purposes such as local travel, town hall meetings, communications, literature, and constituent engagement. We are proposing that beginning immediately that these amounts remaining for each member for this year be paid out. And in 2019, that they be paid out along with the salary, which will continue to be $5,000 and $3,000 in the coming year. The charter expense allowance, as I said, would be paid out as normal compensation. No receipts or documentation would be required. It is intended to cover local expenses related to official duties and constituent engagement. The accounts for reimbursement for training and the travel that is related to training would be adjusted and would carry through the end of each year. The 2019 travel and training expense would be budgeted with the understanding that the allowance is not reimbursable, meaning that all education, training, and related out-of-town travel must be budgeted separately from the allowance and passed during the normal budgeting process. The expense allowances, therefore, would be capped. The expense allowance that is being paid out as compensation would be capped by the charter, and the reimbursable expenses would be capped by the city budget, which could only be amended in a public meeting by a vote of council. Okay? So, moving forward, the increase to the expense allowance that is being proposed in the current Home Rule Charter amendment constitutes an increase in compensation which can only be addressed in the charter. The proposed amounts are $8,000 to the mayor, $5,000 to each council member, as Mr. Curry intimated earlier. And the increase is to cover expenses that are currently being borne by members that aren't covered by the current amount. We currently have members of the council who are at the limit or have extended past the limit of their current expense allocations. Therefore, the increase is to cover those expenses that are not being covered by the current amounts. The mayor's increase will also cover and consequently eliminate the current $650 vehicle allowance that is currently being provided on a reimbursable basis. So, in summary, the approved Home Rule Charter changes, including the increase to the expense allowance, will not take effect until January of 2020, following the next municipal election. Until that time, The mayor's $5,000 allowance and each council member's $3,000 allowance would remain in effect through fiscal year 2019.
Okay. Council?
So you're saying, Mr. Dibble, there's no changes in these amounts, am I correct?
In reference to the charter? No, in reference to the charter, the only changes would be considered in the charter amendment, okay, which would not take effect until 2020. So currently, there are members who have allowance left this year that will be paid out. And then beginning in January of 2019, the $5,000 and $3,000 allowances would be paid as normal compensation along with the council and mayor's salaries, which also would stay at the current level until after the home rule charter is passed in the following year.
Council?
Thought you were leaving a note.
No note necessary.
All right, so, you know, obviously, this is the most provocative issue that's before us tonight. What I would encourage is that if you want to see adjustments to this, then talk about it on the dais. Or do away with all. Or, you know, just, you know, as far as what, is there an issue with the expense allowance? If not, we can move to the compensation to the salary. I don't know. I mean, I think y'all ought to just talk, decide. You know, go ahead and get your feelings out so everybody knows how you feel. Mayor, you want to start?
No, you. You. So I'm open to council. You can, one, vote separate, together, whatever you feel. Let's go ahead and music is playing.
So again, I think this is, Mr. Mayor, Matt.
Yes, sir.
I think this goes along with everything I said up to this point. Again, and I know you guys don't get tired of hearing me saying this, but I just wanted to hit home. Again, this is an issue that should be brought before the public as we're trying to do. I don't think we need to make the decision here. I think we need to bring the public into this decision-making process over the next, how many meetings will that encompass?
Well, it has to be advertised 3 times first in 60 days before you can even bring it back.
Okay, so right, so that gives ample time for staff, council, to come up with documentation to put on our website again, so that our constituents can see what is, get a better understanding of what is being proposed. It sounds, I mean, if you listen to it, it can sound real bad according to what you're thinking, or it can sound, oh, okay, ain't nothing changed. But the fact of the matter is, you may not fully understand what we're talking about, and it's more important. And I think there is an onus upon us to understand what's happening here as council members. But I think it's just as important that our constituents understand as well what we're doing, what we're trying to accomplish, and where we're going. And with that said, I would propose that we go through that. And, you know, to me, we could just stop now and go through all 5 and make certain that we include the public in this entire process and call it a day. And that way we can bring you guys back and you have an opportunity to not murmur among yourselves, which is counterproductive, but to actually approach the bench and tell us what you feel. Because I guarantee you there's people in this room that is probably on both or one or the other side of the story, but most importantly, there are people in this room that may not understand all the facts. And those are the people that we need to make certain that are involved in this process. So my point of view is that we move forward.
Ma'am,
Yes, sir.
looking at the expense portion of it, since it's rolled in as one proposal here. But just looking at the expense portion of it, the way it's been explained is that it appears to me that most of that can be resolved without a charter change because of the interpretation of reimbursable versus the allowance versus reimbursable. So I'm not sure if this needs to be tackled here. And on the issue of the salary, we've gone around and around on this. And I've stated my position on it several times. And when we first became a city, there was a move to adjust the salary. And my position was that I thought it should go back to the General Assembly for their attention. We fought and we got it back to the General Assembly for their attention. And it failed. And I am in a position now where I want to just move on.
Thank you, George. Then, having been part of this from its inception, and knowing where we have gone with all of these situations with regards to where we are today, yes, we did collectively come together, send our resolutions or ordinance to the state. And Attorney Curry has told me this on many occasions. People in the State House can do exactly what they want to do. Doesn't matter what you send to them. It depends on how they feel that day. And with the majority of council, please, all I ask is just simple courtesy. Please, we just one time, just listen. So from this standpoint, we go to the State House. We move forward from the mayor and council. It's not always going to be 100%. 5 out of 6 move forward this time. Sometimes it's 4 out of 2. I mean, you got 6 different people up here with 6 different life experiences, so you're going to get 6 different votes sometimes. But still, it was mandated. We were able to pass it. We took it to the State House. And 6 out of 6 state representatives, they passed it. They go through the whole sanitary audit about where we were and what was going to happen. Then it moves to the Senate. And we have the same issue in the Senate with some people that we've had before. These are some of the same people that didn't want Stonecrest. So that's a process by which we have to deal with. So it failed. Now, of the 6 people here, 16 people were involved. 3 denied. 16 people were involved. 3 denied it. As a matter of fact, it wasn't even really 3, it was just really 1. And that 1 scared the other persons down. If we're talking truth of the matter. So, from there, we're back here with several issues that we can handle locally. So that you can have exactly this say that Councilman Clanton spoke of. I know the line is just on fire to have your conversation. That's great, because you should be. Then you can have your say. But as we sit today, and as we even sit tomorrow in the near future, we have a 0 millage rate, and this doesn't raise it 1 iota, not 1 inch. We don't go over budget, we don't do any of those things. So it's not raising your taxes, it's not taking a dime out of your pocket compared to what we're doing here. I mean, absolutely nothing. I don't know how else to say it any clearer than that. So, with that, what's the pleasure, Mr. City Attorney?
Mayor and Council, what's before you is a resolution to authorize the clerk to publish this notice of this amendment. So that there would be public hearings
two public hearings and votes twice with respect to the ordinance of doing this for home rule. So the motion would be to, for Ms. James to publish the notice.
Mr. Curry, may I ask this question? Just to clear this up. I think we're kind of, and this is why we need to have the discussion. I think we're kind of like, we were shaky a bit about the allowances. In regards to the salary, one thing I need to know is that, would that salary increase be for the current elected mayor? Yes or no?
No, it would not be, because he is up for election in 2019.
Okay.
So
With that understanding, I think we should bring the public in, and I would like to make a motion that we do publish the notification as written to amend the charter.
Okay, been properly moved, do I have a second?
Mr. Mayor, you can second it.
Second.
That does not work. That doesn't work. Are you serious?
For discussion.
You call the question, Mr. Mayor.
I'd like to make a substitute motion.
So you wait, did you second it?
I second.
You didn't know the bylaw.
I second.
Bylaw.
All right.
You need a sergeant tomorrow.
I do, I'm serious. Yeah, you're right. So I'm making a substitute motion. All right. My substitute motion is to consider is to move for the expense portion of this only. Expense portion of this only.
And you talk about removing the mayor's salary altogether?
Correct.
Good. Second?
All right. Been properly moved in second. In discussion.
You have to vote on the first motion. No, I'm sorry, you have to vote on the substitute motion.
Substitute motion.
I felt it.
All right.
Substitute motion.
Question.
All right. Yes, sir.
Since it was presented as one item, can we
Just change.
parliamentarily separate it?
Yeah, all you're doing is authorizing a resolution for her to publish it. You are in a position to modify what's being published, which would,
So you would have.
change. I would change this.
Yeah, but
Yes, you're in a position to do that because you're only in the position of authorizing a publishment of a notice. So if the mayor says, take my salary off the table, you can do that.
But you're introducing, so what you're introducing is a new motion, or is it considered the same motion minus
This is a substitute
the
motion.
substitute motion? But my question is, with a call meeting, can we do that? That was really my question. I know that you can only address things that are advertised in a call meeting. So does this fall in that category?
No, because this was advertised. You can modify what you're doing. This particular item has been advertised.
Okay. But once we should, the modification did not make it a different
No,
item.
because it's different than just coming and throwing a whole new thing that's not on the agenda. That's different than this, because this is on the agenda, and you're discussing it and modifying. All you're doing is voting for a public.
So, Mr. Curry, to ensure that the public and the council people know what we're doing, would you repeat what we're modifying, so everyone will know what we're
All
doing?
right, so what's being modified is that the substitute motion, if I can say what it is.
Sure.
The substitute motion is to authorize the clerk to publish the amendment to section 2.07, exclusive of the increase in the mayor's salary, such that the only thing that's being amended are the issues relating to the compensation for expenses, which would not take effect until after the 2019 election.
That piece will be, the salary piece is off the table. What happens is that the rest of this that we've been deliberating on and talking about, so that the public can have their say, even on those pieces, which we want them to do, but it will be exclusive of this piece about the mayor's salary.
So to be clear, is that what you're doing is authorizing her to publish the notice relating to the increase in the expense allowance only. The change in the mayor's salary would not be part of the notice. It would remain the same.
All right. We have a motion, it's been properly seconded, we've had a discussion. And we have a substitute. This is a substitute motion. Been properly seconded and discussed. So,
Councilmember Rob Turner,
No.
Councilmember George Turner,
Yay? Yes.
yes. Councilmember Jasmine Cabo,
No.
Councilmember Adama,
No.
Councilmember Plant,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
yes.
Motion fails, 3 no, 3 yes.
Okay,
All right,
number 4.
we'll move on.
Yes, sir.
An ordinance to amend the charter of the city of Stonecrest, Georgia for the purpose of eliminating the restriction of employment by any member of the city council, by any city or county government in section 2.13E of the city charter. Yes, what section 2.13E reads today.
Attorney Perry, interrupt you, I just have a parliamentary procedure question. If the substitute motion did not pass, you have to go back to the original motion and vote on that?
Who knows, it could be, that's a good point, thank you. Let's see if lightning strikes here.
Same thing.
The original motion was to advertise, publish the notification as is with the salary and the expense allowance.
Thank you, Ms. Jasmine.
And that was second also. That was probably second also.
You seconded it.
All right.
Councilmember Plant,
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Councilmember George Turner,
No.
Councilmember Adama,
No.
Councilmember Jasmine Cabo, no. Councilmember Rob Turner,
No.
Mayor,
Yes.
the motion fails, 2 yes and 4 no's.
No lightning. All right, you may continue, sir.
All right, going back to this, this is number 4, an ordinance to amend the charter of the city of Stonecrest for the purpose of eliminating the restriction of employment by any member of the city council, by any city or county government in section 2.13E of the city charter. 2.13E are prohibitions upon which of actions of mayor and council. And under the current charter, you are prohibited to be employed by any city or any county government during the term for which elected. What the amendment does is delete the words "or be employed by any city or county government," which would therefore would not be any preclusions. However, if there is a legal reason that you can't do it, then that would preempt this legislation.
Mr. Attorney, we were sent a question today, if you could clear it up, that does not mean that they could work for the city of Stonecrest. That is any other county or city.
That's right.
Not for the city of Stonecrest.
Okay. All right, council?
But just to make sure that, do we need to add language that says that?
I think it's elsewhere, but why don't we add it, okay, and just say other, shall not hold any other elective office during the term for which is elected. But I think under state law, you can't be an employee. That's my opinion. I can go look it up.
Let me ask this question. What about if you're a contractor or you have a specific company, you want to contract with the city? Does that cover that?
Well, the ethics policy covers it and requires you to disclose it and to recuse yourself from it, from the discussion.
So it is covered, so that's good.
Council, any further? Any more clarification? So, Mr. City Attorney, you say we do or don't need the language with regards to?
You don't need the language.
Don't need language, okay. All right. Seeing no other comments, I'll take a motion.
Again, Mr. Mayor, I would offer the motion that we present this to the public again for public input. Therefore, I do motion that we publish this amendment as well.
All right, properly moved, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, properly moved in second. Further discussion?
Mr. City Attorney, you mentioned about conflict. Well, let's put it like this, that Georgia law may provide for this already. Is that correct? That a city councilman can actually work for the city that they are councilman with? Is that correct?
Let me hold on a second. Just
That's what I'm
one
asking.
second. Well, it's not covered in the chart. I'll add the language saying you can't work for the city and we'll be done. How about that?
Okay.
There we go.
All right. Does the motion need to be amended or?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I'll add it to it.
Okay.
Finish it.
All right, make the call, Ms. Clerk.
Okay, Councilmember Desmond Cobble,
Yes.
Rob Turner,
Yes.
Jimmy Clanton,
Yes.
George Turner,
Yes.
Diana Dunn,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Number 5, an ordinance to amend the charter section 3.11.
All right, an ordinance to amend the charter of the city of Stonecrest, Georgia, for the purpose of changing the name of the city accountant to the city finance director, to provide that the city council has the authority to make the appointment or define the duties of the city finance director by amending section 3.11 of Article 3 of the city charter. Today, the charter provides for a city accountant. This changes the name to a city finance director. It also amplifies the duties not only to the accounting functions with the financial reporting functions, but also to the treasury functions of the city. And under the current ordinance, the mayor has the ability to pick this person subject to the confirmation of council. However, that's being changed to be consistent with the independent auditor, such that it is a position that is elected by city council.
Okay, council?
Okay, so, did you want to ask a question? I'm sorry.
Yes, Attorney Curry. How would this individual be, what will the selection process be like?
That would be up to, that would, either the city manager who this person would report to could interview candidates and bring them to you, and you can interview them individually yourself, or you can publish a request for people to send applications. Usually what happens when you make a decision to fill an appointment, the first place it ends up is with the GMA, which is, they have a very extensive employment opportunity section in there that cities read and look at when they're looking at things.
Would it be biased or discriminatory to add to the selection process to look at Stonecrest qualified applicants?
Well, let me answer it this way. Under state law, you can't require the city manager, and I have to check it, to live in the city limits of Stonecrest. That's,
Well, I know that some
Let's say-
cities do require that.
as far as the finance director.
I mean, require
See, that's.
the residents.
Just hire people from.
Yeah, I mean, there's,
Here's where I'm
Yeah,
going.
he's thinking you saying they gotta live here. She's asking you, can they just stipulate that they live in, that they look at people that live in Stone?
I wouldn't put that in the charter, but I think you can do that as a matter of course. You do that with everything else that you do.
That's what I'd like to do.
Okay. Any more, council? All righty. I'll take a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
I move that we approve an ordinance to amend the charter section.
Would approve a resolution,
Approve the resolution.
publish a notice of an ordinance to amend the charter.
Move that we approve a resolution to publish a notice to amend the charter of section 3.11, article 3, to change the name of city accountant to city finance director.
I second it.
I'll be moved in a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none? Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Adoma,
Yes.
Councilmember George Turner,
Yes.
Councilmember Jimmy Clanton,
Yes.
Councilmember Rob Turner,
Yes.
Councilmember Jasmine Cobble. Yes. Mayor,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right.
That concludes the agenda, Mr. Mayor.
Let's see here, resolution of,
That's what we've been authorizing all.
there we go. All right, I will move for adjournment. I'll move for adjournment.
So moved.
All right. Have a good evening.